Thank you and good morning. Please remain standing for the police anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Family and friends, you gather within this chapel and without in large numbers. Thank you. The family are most grateful. Today, you're in loving memory of Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE. Mark was a friend of yours in some way. He was associated with you. We thank also all people participating today. We thank them for their efforts to be with us, and the family, as I said, are most grateful. Mark's life journey was 66 years. He was born in Sydney on the 22nd of September 1958, and it was on Monday, the 7th of July, sadly, he left family and friends. He was an only child. Mum was Joan, Dad was Arthur. To the immediate family, we offer our condolences. To his loving wife, Elizabeth, they were married 40 years, married in 1986. The children of the marriage, John and Kate, with us today. We offer our condolences to this family, a loving family indeed. And so today, following the order of service, very importantly, there was a lovely poem to be read. I'm going to ask John, his son, to come forward. The poem is written within your order of service. You can follow me through. Thank you, John.
The day you left us, dearest Dad, our hearts were broken too. One half is with Kate and I, Mum's half is still with you. As a family, we stand united, side by side. Dad's love, kindness and strength we can't hide. Always putting others before his own, a silent strength we've always known. Though gone from sight, you're always near, in every heart, forever dear. Our hearts are breaking, yet filled with gratitude too. We miss you already, but cherish every moment we knew. You left an indelible mark on our lives. You are our guiding light. We'll hold on to your love and values and keep them shining bright. Your fight is over, pain now cease. Cast your line and find your peace. In flowing rivers, wild and free, where the love and memories of Dad will always be. Love you forever, Dad. Thank you.
Thank you, John. A tough job indeed. Done with great style. Thank you very much in memory of Dad. Mark, of course, was a sworn New South Wales police officer, loved the police force, and today his record of service is read by retired New South Wales Police Superintendent Mark Sweeney, APM. He'll add some memories. Mark, please join us. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Sweeney, and I'm very privileged to do a summary of Mark's service history, and then possibly with Liz's blessing and Kate and John, to just a few remarks about Mark. The service history of Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE, registered number 18000. Gee, that was always easy to remember. In those days, it would have been just let the paycheck run, pick up the cheque, it was an easy run. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE joined the New South Wales Police Force as a trainee at the Metropolitan Police Academy, Redfern, on the 23rd of January 1978. On the 3rd of April 1978, Mark was sworn in as a probationary constable and was stationed at Number 2 Division, Regent Street Police Station. On the 3rd of April 1979, Mark was promoted to the rank of constable. And on the 6th of June 1982, Mark transferred to the Transport Branch. And in those days, that was just a mandatory transfer for those who were in the audience. It was to broaden your horizon. And on the 3rd of April 1983, Mark was promoted to the exalted rank of Constable First Class. On the 18th of December 1983, Mark transferred to the State Operations Branch, the Forensic Ballistics Units. In August 1984, Mark transferred to Hurstville Crime Scene Section, and I think that's where our paths crossed, Liz. On the 3rd of April 1987, Mark was promoted to the exalted rank of Senior Constable. On the 3rd of April 1990, Mark was promoted to the exalted rank of Sergeant. Because you had a meteoric rise. And on the 10th of May 1982, Mark transferred to the Vehicle Examination Unit. And I'm aware that some of his co-workers at that unit are here today. On the 17th of May 1995, Mark transferred into the Inner West Crime Scene Section. And on the 1st of February, Mark, in 1998, transferred to the Chatswood Crime Scene Section. And later in 2000, Mark transferred to the Sydney Crime Scene Section. And on the 6th of June, and again where our paths crossed, Liz, 2006, Mark was seconded to the Forensic Armed Robbery. And on the 6th of December 2006, Mark transferred to the Asheville Police Station. And then again, our paths cross. On the 24th of July 2013, Mark transferred back to the Evidence Recovery Unit. Liz, Kate and John, Mark, your dad, your husband, dedicated 39 years to the community of New South Wales, 27 years in the field of forensic investigation, and retired at the rank of Sergeant on the 6th of April 2018. His recognition, of course, was vast and comprehensive. In 1990, Mark was acknowledged for good police work in relation to the Cowper tourist bus coach disaster. And a short period later, of course, did the Clybuka flat tourist coach disaster on the 22nd of December 1989. Mark received the National Medal on the 7th of May 1994. On the 26th of October 2003, Mark was awarded the first clasp for the National Medal. On the 11th of February 2004, Mark was awarded the New South Wales Police Medal with third clasp. On the 13th of November 2009, Mark was awarded the fourth clasp to the New South Wales Police Medal. On the 12th of December 2012, Mark was awarded the National Police Service Medal. And on the 3rd of January 2013, Mark was awarded the Commissioner of Police Sequentiary Citation. And on the 15th of April 2016, Mark was awarded the second clasp of the National Medal and the fifth to the New South Wales Police Medal. On a personal note, Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE, we laughed and cried over the years. As a professional police officer, Mark carried just more than just the professional responsibility in every aspect of his work. He carried trauma, frustration, heartbreak, and still he turned up every day. Mark dealt with the darkest side of life. Loss, violence, tragedy, and somehow found a way not to let it harden him. I'm sure it kept and wore on him sometimes quietly and sometimes heavily. But he kept going because he believed in making a difference, in helping people and making things right where he could. There is an infamous quote of Sir Robert Peel, who was described as the foundation of our policing systems today. Policing is not about enforcing rules. Is it about standing between chaos and calm and between fear and hope? I think that describes Mark's career to a T. Valet, Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Sweeney, former Superintendent of New South Wales Police, for those kind remarks, reading a record of service. Very important today. And so, some memories. Retired New South Wales Senior Sergeant Lyle Van Leeuwen. This was a police friend. Thank you, Lyle.
Mark Anthony BRANSGROVE was born on the 22nd of September 1958 to two of the most loving and proud parents, Joan and Arthur BRANSGROVE. Joan was a nurse with a heart of gold, and Arthur, a truck driver with hands that built and held so much. After heartbreaking losses, Joan finally gave birth to a beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby boy, and the world became a better place. Mark would later become the most devoted husband to Elizabeth and their loving father to the two incredible children, John Anthony and Kate Elizabeth. And of course, let's not forget Tiger the cat, who rules the house with a flick of his half-amputated tail, compliments of the dog. Mark was an only child, but would often say he never felt alone. Still, if he had a say, he'd have loved a sibling to share the house with and the chaos. Instead, his life was filled with books, friends, outdoor adventures, scouts, adventurers, naval cadets sailing down the Cooks River. Ooh, sorry. And let's not forget Socks, the beloved dog who was as much a partner in mischief as she was a loyal companion. Mark believed he didn't have any cousins until the plot twist in 2019-2020, where he discovered that his mum, who claimed she was an only child, was in fact one of 11 siblings. 11. That was one of the best days of Mark's life, especially when Gail and Graham Bell, newfound family, who quickly became treasures in Mark's world, better late than never, he said. He collected friends the way some people collect fishing gear. In fact, it was hard to tell which collection was the bigger. Friends like Alf, who sadly passed away on Christmas Day 2024. John Ward, who was tragically killed in a motorcycle accident on St Patrick's Day 1989. And Paul, who's alive and kicking here today, retired and hopefully dodging the baked beans and eggs from the many Blazing Saddles reruns he watches. Mark forged deep friends in the police force, many whom are here today. Friends at Four Wheels, and as Mark said, a transfer for development, commonly known in the cops as a Shanghai. You've got no say. Crime scene people, many here today. The Ashfield police family, very, very important. The Wednesday coffee crew. Mark would catch a bus to Chatswood, catch a train to Chatswood and then a bus to Belrose every Wednesday. He'd turn up at our house at 8:10 in the morning. The kids say, "Hi, Mark, you here to go to coffee?" Yeah, and he did. He did it religiously. And the whole galaxy of mates from the Sydney Fly Riders who are so important to Mark, where Mark was proudly made a life member in 2024. Never leave a friend behind. True friends are friends forever. That was Mark's way. Mark went to Campsie Public School where he met Alf in kindergarten, clearly destiny at play, and later Canterbury Boys High where he met Paul Ouge and John Wood. Together they went rabbit hunting, fishing, skiing, scuba diving, camping, and undoubtedly a lot of mischief. Mark joined the police force, as Mark Sweeney said, in 1978, a moment that made Joan and Arthur beam with pride. Around that time it worked its magic and Liz had moved in 6 doors down the road from Mark's place in Robertson Street, Campsie. Mark, always the gentleman, just so happened to pop in to say hello and help her move in. And that's where this story began. Mark and Elizabeth dated for 5 years. Slow worker? Yep. Made sure everything was right first? Yep, good. Yep. And during this time, they worked to buy their first house, travelled extensively around Australia, Europe and Asia. In 1983, Mark trekked to the Everest Base Camp, which was physically, mentally and emotionally challenging, but Mark felt an immense feeling of self-accomplishment, personal development growth and inspiration, that he could overcome anything in life that was thrown at him. We're all proud of his determination and courage when facing adverse conditions experienced on the Mount Everest trek as well as in the future. Mark proposed to Liz in Paris in January 1985. We'll always have Paris, they joked, just like in Casablanca. They married on the 3rd of May 1986 and together travelled Australia and the world. Then came their greatest adventures. John, born in 22nd of November 1990, and Kate, the 28th of January 1999. Both children were met with tears of pride, joy, and hearts overflowing with love. And boy, did they make their dad proud. Anzac Day held a special meaning for Mark. A history buff through and through, he was thrilled in 2008 to visit the World War battlefields in France, where his grandfather had served and survived both wars. Mark laid a wreath in his grandfather's honour and even got chatting to a bloke in the crowd that was standing nearby. You and I know him as Prince Charles or King Charles. Just casually, just Mark's way. Oh, g'day mate, how you going? Mark's life and family life took a cruel turn on the 7th of February 2024 at 2 p.m. Mark received a diagnosis that changed everything. Ureter cancer, aggressive, rare and merciless. The oncologist's words cut deep. It's the worst of the worst. The family threw everything at it. Immunotherapy with an 85 to 90% success rate. Mark fell into the 10 to 15%, not the best. It nearly destroyed him. He lost 30 kilos in weight in a few months and was bedridden. And yet he still smiled, still fought and still loved, and still made it to John and Jules' wedding. When standard treatments failed, Mark bravely joined a first-in-human phase 1 clinical trial, only ever tested on monkeys, mice and Mark. Triple M we call it. The AMT 116 trial gave him time he relished. He lost his hair, and it's written here by Liz, had great balls of fire, a little bit sore. But still went fishing in Tasmania, road tripping along the coast, up the mountains in their brand new sports car, and even took a cruise. He pushed through, he fished, he ate, and he lived. This is Mark's story. His smile, his kindness, his fishing rods, one inside, his friends, his family, his battles, and his love. And we will always carry Mark's story with us. Thank you for your time and coming today, ladies and gentlemen. On a personal note, we'll all get to raise a glass to the man I call the man who never raised his voice.
Thank you, Lyle. Give him a nice round of applause. Thank you very much. Always clap for courage. That's what he's got. Paul Dewey is a family friend. Thank you, Paul.
I think Lyle's going to be a very hard act to follow, but I'll do my best in a few minutes that I've got. I met Mark in 1970 in first form. I was very lucky to sit beside him, probably in English and maths, I can't remember what, and I think it took me about 5 seconds to figure out this was the best man in my life, my best friend I could ever have. He just had that, ability to get along with people, and he was humble but rock solid as far as his principles. Was always quiet. I never heard him shout either, actually, all the way through school, even though I gave him some excuses to, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So we became very firm friends very quickly, and of course I met Alf, his other great mate from primary school, kindergarten, that's right, sorry. So they've been best mates for about 6 years, so I was a late starter, 1970, 55 years, which went like that, unfortunately. And then I was even luckier to meet his wonderful mum and dad, Joan and Arthur. You couldn't meet a nicer set of parents. I thought I was in heaven. And in fact, Mark was just like his parents, and his parents were just like his mum, like 3 peas in a pod. It was pretty amazing. They welcomed me as a son, as a brother, And Alf and Mark actually both lived in Robinson Street, and as has been mentioned earlier, Robinson Street is a very important address because that's where Mark also met Liz. Love of his life, the only love, the first love and the best love forever. We knew that straight away. It took you guys how many years to realise that, that that's the way it's going to be? All right, and then in the early 70s, right through high school, Mark and I, Joan and Arthur, and Socks the dog, went on lots of picnics, trips down the south coast, the north central coast, the Blue Mountains, and we always made sure that there was some food left over after the picnic, because on the way home in the old EK, Arthur was a slow driver. Mark and I would be throwing fruit and things at the road signs, and every now and again Joan would say, "Mark," and start never roused on me. She always roused on Mark because she knew he knew better, and I was just a bit of a loose cannon, you know. And Joan called us the Three Musketeers: Alf, Mark, and myself. Many trips over many years. We also tried our hand at upsetting classes occasionally. And Mark was this. Everyone thought he was this upright, quiet fellow, but he had a mischievous side. We had a lot of food fights at school in various classes when the teacher wasn't there, and they came in real good stead later when he became a natural at fly fishing. He had that good arm. We also decided to get involved with astronomy, and even started our own rocketry program, and to beat the Apollo program in the early 70s. And unfortunately, I think we outdid Elon Musk, and out of the 6 rockets we tried to build, 6 of them exploded, and the last one exploded so loudly that it scared the hell out of Joan, and she was crying and getting very upset. So we thought, if we wanted to remain intact, we better not build any more rockets. We were using my father's 303 bullets, actually, and, well, you know, say no more. So we had a lot of great times fishing and camping, kayaking, bushwalking. He was a great outdoor lover. He just loved the outdoors. And right through high school, there was the 3 of us, the 3 Musketeers. Towards the end of high school, John joined the group, became the 4 Musketeers, and at the end of high school, finally, Mark and Liz got together, as mentioned before, and Mark went into the police force immediately after school, and we all thought the police force won gold with Mark. It was just perfect for Mark. He had the right personality, the right attitude, buckets of empathy, cared for everyone, saw the best in everyone, etc., etc. A great asset to the police force and to New South Wales generally. John was at a bit of a loss of what sort of career to have, and I think Mark inspired him to join the police force a few years later. And so they they had that bond because of the police force. And when Liz and Mark got married, John was best man. Very happy times. It was wonderful. When we all got our car licences, of course, we're all off travelling, went shooting, bushwalking, throwing food at signs. We still maintain that tradition, you know. There's a saying that says it's compulsory to grow old, but only optional to grow up. So there you go. Mark kept his sense of humour. So Mark had a great career in the police force. I won't go through any of that, of course. It's been well eloquently mentioned so far. Though he did say to me that when he did some further education, science education, he got the opportunity to do some explosive work with the Army, and he thought our rocket situation early in school did him in good stead, kind of an impromptu apprenticeship. And yes, so along came, sorry, I'm just, I need to sort myself out. John and Kate came along, wonderful children, Mark and Liz, very, very proud. They've created a couple of perfect people, just like themselves. Very sad that when we heard the news in February last year about Mark getting that nasty cancer, but he was a rock, and Liz was the amazing rock for Mark and for everyone else. Put her life on hold, everything on hold for Mark, and of course so did John, Jules and Kate. Mark was the number one priority, and you couldn't have done better. Liz, you did it was fantastic. Very impressed. But we had to be positive. You guys were very positive. You went on trips. You made the most of life. Still did some fishing when the treatment wasn't knocking him around so much, because he had quite a few treatments, not just the one, and they kept him going for a while. Certainly knocked him around a few times, as was mentioned before. So I suppose I need to finish off, because I've got another page which I'm going to have to skip, but I'll finish off basically that Mark, an amazingly kind, big-hearted, empathetic person, never boastful, always considered others. Sorry. Saw the positive in everyone, and if he could. A great example for all of us. Sorry, I'll say it again. A great example for all of us and all of humanity, actually. He's sitting here in my heart for the rest of my day. And it looks like he's done the same thing for all who's gathered here today. Thank you all for coming. So, Mark, now that I've embarrassed the hell out of you, I wish you happy fishing, old mate. We'll miss you heaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Paul Huey, a close friend, very devoted indeed, and thank you for keeping it nice and tight. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And so can I draw your attention to our screens, where if you're outside, there is a full screen out there, and we thank you very much for being outside for us. And very importantly, some images of Mark's life with two beautiful songs, As Time Goes By and Islands in the Stream. Thank you very much. Thank you, Greg.
You must remember this, a kiss is just a kiss, a sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when two lovers woo, they still say I love you. On that you can rely. No matter what the future brings as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs never out of date. Hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman needs man, and man must have his mate, that no one can deny. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs never out of date. full of passion, jealousy, and hate. Woman needs man, and man must have his mate. That no one can deny. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The world will always welcome lovers as time goes by.
To get you with a fine tooth comb, I was soft inside. There was something going on. You do something to me that I can't explain. Hold me closer and I feel no pain. Every beat of my heart, we got something going on. Tender love is blind, it requires a dedication. All this love we feel needs no conversation. We ride it together, making love with each other. Islands in the stream, that is what we are. No one in between. How can we be wrong? Sail away with me to another world, and we rely on each other. From one lover to another. I can't live without you if the love was gone. Everything is nothing if you got no one, and you just walk in the night, slowly losing sight of the real thing. But that won't happen to us, and we got no doubt. Too deep in love, and we got no way out, and the message is clear. This could be the year for the real thing. No more will you cry, baby, I will hurt you never. We start and end as one, in love forever. We can ride it together, making love with each other.
We thank the family for those lovely photographs. Thank you very much. There are two final speeches before we move to graveside. Those are in the hands of the family, and especially his loving daughter Kate, followed by his loving wife Elizabeth. Thank you, Kate. Come join us.
For many of you here today, you may have known Mark as a loyal friend, a colleague, a sergeant, or a fisherman. But for John and I, we knew him simply as Dad. He was patient, compassionate, loyal, a go-getter who stood by his values and lived with quiet strength. Our childhood was filled with laughter, love, and memories that we will never forget. He taught us how to ride bikes and to ski. He tried to teach us how to fish, but that one didn't quite stick. And he definitely taught us how to stir up the dog. Macy, our dog, coughed at the most. He would spin her around, saying, "Washing machine," while Mum yelled, "Mark, leave the dog alone." And he would be laughing while Macy ran back for more. We remember our family trips to the snowy mountains, Dad's happy place. Even though we were freezing in the caravan, he loved fishing and being with family. And of course, our visits to Tuncurry to see Nan and Pop. These trips that John and I will never forget. Dad laughing his head off as he tossed Macy out of the canoe while she swam back with attitude. Nan and Pop were in stitches. That was Dad, always turning ordinary moments into something unforgettable. I still remember learning to ski with him. He was yelling, "Pizza, do the pizza face," while I flew down the slope, people dodging me left, right and centre. When I finally stopped, he was in tears, not from fear, but from laughing so hard. "Okay," he said, "let's do that again." That was Dad. He didn't care if you fell, he cared if you got back up. And he was right there, laughing with you when you did. But beyond all the humour and life lessons, there's something even more powerful we want to honour today. The love Dad had for our mum. Some judged my mother for not being a so-called traditional mother, but he stood proudly beside her with love in his eyes. He respected her fire, he loved her deeply, and he made sure that we saw that love every single day. Dad always said it doesn't take too much to be kind, and if someone judged you, he raised an eyebrow and say, "Who cares what they think? Their opinion means nothing." Together, Mum and Dad taught us how to stand firm, speak up, and never let someone else's opinions change who you are, and to never compromise your values or your truth, ever. Dad wasn't an angry man. In fact, it was rare to see. One of John's big memories he remembers, the only time we ever saw Dad raise his voice and get angry was when Simon and John tore up and destroyed Mum's prize garden, looking for their lost cricket ball. But even then, Dad's anger didn't last, because at his core, he was gentle. He once told us he had 3 dreams before he passed: to see John get married, to see me graduate from my master's and become a registered psychologist. He didn't see it all, but he saw what mattered. He watched John get married and nominated Apprentice of the Year, and he saw me graduate from my degree, and I'll never forget the look in his eyes. He was proud of us, and he was proud of himself. And for the dreams he didn't get to see, I know he'll still be there. When I graduate, or when he sees John with his work, he will be there watching us with this. And for my master's graduation, I'll leave a seat just for him with a big bow, because wherever he is, I know he'll be watching. He knew we'll be okay. John and I want to thank both our parents, because what they gave us wasn't just love. They gave us courage and strength, not by shielding us from the world, but by walking through it with us. They gave us kindness in the world that so often forgets to be kind. Even now, while our hearts are breaking, we still smile, because Dad gave us everything. Mum and Dad, you were each other's strength. Your love was fierce. You were our light. You taught us resilience, not through words, but through actions. Through every battle, you stood together. Through every hardship, you chose love. Now that Dad is gone, the light feels dimmer, but it won't go out, because we carry it now. We are your fire, your strength, your legacy, and we will keep going, because you showed us how. And Dad, being the gentle soul that he was, told us, "I'm at peace now, because I know my family will be fine. I know you'll keep going, even if I'm not there. I know I've done my all. I have no regrets, because the day I had with you all, those were my life, my treasures. But more than that, he leaves behind a legacy in Mum, in John, in me, in all of us sitting here today. He lives on everything we do, in the way we keep going, even when it hurts, because he can't anymore, but we can and we will. With all our hearts, we say, thank you, Dad, for being ours. Thank you for loving Mum. Thank you for never backing down, for showing us how to be strong. Especially now, you didn't go quietly. You left with fire in your heart and pride in your eyes. And this isn't goodbye. It's just see you another time, Dad, when our stories meet yours again.
Hello everyone, thank you for coming. The final word. Mark was a gentle, caring, good-hearted man, a man who loved his family, his friends, his job, his scotch or whiskey, depending on the day, his Guinness, his coffee, his food, his fishing, his history and reading in general, and he loved old movies, Casablanca, spaghetti westerns, Hogan's Heroes, which he watched on repeat, and don't even try and change the channel or talk to him. Mark had a moral compass like no other, a man of integrity who would never compromise his values, not even a little. Mark was Mark. Like it or lump it. Take it or leave it. He didn't change for anyone. On our wedding day, my father, Barry, took Mark aside and he said to Mark straight, "Don't you do anything to ever hurt Elizabeth. Don't hit her, don't swear at her, don't push her around. Just love and respect her and, of course, obey her." And it was a serious moment sealed with a gentleman's handshake, and it actually nearly crushed Mark's fingers because my father had a handshake like a vice. But Mark said to him, my dad, "I will guard her with my life until my last dying breath. You have my word as a gentleman." Before cheekily adding to my father, "But Barry, can you tell her to back off me a little bit?" Classic Mark. We made several trips to Tuncurry during his treatment, and Mark found a quiet moment at the cemetery with my dad. And he said to my dad, "I must apologise, Barry, because I'm going to die soon, and I won't be there to look after Elizabeth and the kids anymore. I'm sorry if I've broken my promise. I'm sorry if I've let you down." Say no more. That was Mark, always honouring his promises, always trying to protect us, even when his body was failing. Of course, I did my share of protecting too, particularly those relentless crime scene call-outs. The police radio operators or the DOI, they were scared of me, particularly when I answered the phone, because I would slam them. I'd tell them how to do their job. I'd give them a lecture. In the end, they didn't want to ring me anymore, and then I'd be saying to them, "Ring Lyle, he's at Chatswood, he'd like that job tonight. Give Moira a ring, she'd love to go. I think Fran's free tonight." So I knew who was working on call in the different areas and I would fob them off to them. I even told one police operator, "If you really want me to wake him up on his regulation break, you better send the police around and bring a search warrant. And give me 5 minutes notice, guys, I need to hide him in the closet." Eventually, they became my friends. They actually started ringing me and telling me whether Mark would be home for tea and what time he'd be home for his baked dinner. I never forget the night rang me and he nearly ran off the road in the police car coming back from a crime scene job. So when he walked through the door, I said to him, "Mate, you have two choices. You leave crime scene or I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to strip you naked. I'll tell you about that story another time. Take your money, take your car, take the kids, take the dog and take your fishing gear and you can go back and live with your mother. So I don't want you dead." So he left crime scene and he went to Ashfield and he absolutely loved Ashfield. But even in his final chapter, Mark's mission wasn't over. His legacy, his final fight was for justice. Mark, Lyle and Alan Rogers pushed hard for recognition for his cancer to be accepted and taken responsibility by the police, which they did on the 2nd of July, 5 days before he died. If we had known earlier the links to chemical exposure had been recognised and talked about, maybe, just maybe, Mark wouldn't be in that box today. It's a bittersweet moment, but it gave Mark peace, real peace. He finally felt heard. He felt that his life, his suffering meant something. He died knowing that his fight would help other people. That's Mark's legacy. To us, Mark was brave, humble, extraordinary man who will fight to help others. To Lyle and Alan, you are the heroes. You gave us and others something that we can never repay. Lyle, you just wasn't just a mate, you're a brother to Mark. And Alan, the academic thug, you can add another scalp to your collection, boy. I want to read a tribute that I wrote to Mark while I was in the hospice. So sit back and relax and just think about Mark when I read these words. It's called "The Mark He Left." The day you left us, dearest Mark, our hearts all broke in two. One half is with Kate and John, my half belongs to you. You left a legacy so rare of truth and strength and grace. A beautiful man who stood for what was right at every time and place. Our pride to call you Dad, our rock, our guide, my husband and best friend, in something we will treasure now until our very end. We think of all those cherished days while wiping silent tears. We need you here now to calm our hearts and to soften all our fears. You raised Kate and John with love so deep, with strength and kindness theirs to keep. You showed them how to stand up tall with steady hearts to face it all. You gave them strength, you gave them hope, you showed them how to care. With every hug, with every word, you made your presence there. With family and friend round a coffee brew, scotch in hand, we share what's true. Life's simple joys, so rich and bright, Mark felt everything would be all right. You wore that badge with steady pride, with justice as your guide. You fought for those who had no voice. You never stepped aside. You placed others first. That was your humble way, always giving more than words could say. You stood for truth when others fled. You simply chose to care instead. You are a hero in my children's eyes and in our eyes too. The world may mourn this beautiful man we lost, but we will always remember you. Missing you is a wound cut deep. It never goes away. But you taught us to rise and fight and to face another day. You were the light in every room, the calm inside the storm. And even now, without your touch, your love still keeps us warm. Though you have gone from where we stand, we feel you close each day. In all we do and all we are, your light, your legacy will light our way. Mark, the pain has passed, your fight is done. You've won the battle, your time has come. Now cast your line, let your spirit be free in endless rivers where Mark lives on peacefully, forever flowing strong in our memory. Rest now, darling, be at peace, Mark, your line set free. Cast to calm waters eternally. Gone fishing, fly free, my darling. Love you always. My name's Elizabeth BRANSGROVE, and I've had the final word. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Elizabeth. The final word and memories, very important. Family and friends, we're now proceeding to graveside, assisted by Manning's Funerals. Michael is our conductor today. We're going to graveside, and I've been asked by the family to firstly invite you to join them at the St George Motorboat Club at 2 o'clock. After the service, we're going to graveside now. If you don't want to attend graveside, please proceed directly to St George Motorboat Club, and we'll go from there. Lady, would you please stand for the police anthem? Thank you. Thank you. Please remain standing. Manning's Funerals directors will come forward. Pallbearers, would you please come forward? Thank you. Proceeding by the double doors here into the courtyard to the graveside. The graveside is a long walk. It is a car ride. Thank you. Please join us if you possibly can. Allow the family and pallbearers. Thank you.